Okay, in this video, I want to show you how to make this joint. This is an alternative to the dovetail top of the wall cabinet, and it's also an alternative to the dovetail top and bottom of the clock. So, to do this joint, it's a strong joint. We're basically using dominoes for it. So we're shooting 4 dominoes in there, which gives us plenty of glue strength, and it should work out really well. So I want to show you how to cut this. I mean, obviously it's much faster than dovetails, probably not as strong, but nonetheless it's certainly a good joint. So let's look at the domino a little bit in itself. Okay, this is the basic machine, and I want to show you some of the settings that we're going to be using. Now, this setting down here, how far the base is away from the cutter, that's what that number is going to tell you. So for what we're doing right here, we want that number to be at 16. To be at 16. Another set of numbers that is going to be critical to us is this setting. This controls how far in the cutter is going to go. Now when we're set at 28, that's roughly 1 1/8 inches. 12 is the shallowest. It's a little bit more than a half. And to change that, we just flip this up, move it to where it needs to be. Now, when we're going into the side, we want it to be at 12. I want to reiterate that. When going into the side, we're at 12. When going into the top or bottom, we are at 28. All the way down. Another setting on this machine that we need to pay attention to is the width of cut, which is illustrated right here. Normally you shift this when the machine is running. Widest cut, middle cut, narrowest cut. Pretty obvious, the length of the line determines the cut. So these are the settings that we're going to be paying attention to, and here we have our on-off button. All right? And you want to make sure these levers are tight so things don't start slipping around. So you don't want this thing moving when you're running it. So bring it down, tighten it up. You don't want your height changing, tighten it up. This is the spacing for the clock. 1 inch in front and back, 2 1/4 in the center. This is the basic spacing for the top of the wall cabinet. 1 inch in from the front and back, then 2 11/16 in from the front and back, and it should leave you about 1 5/8 in the center. All right, to do the top, I'm going to have the width set at the smallest possible and the depth at the largest, 28. So for the top or bottom, you want the deepest you can go, 28, with the narrowest of width. I line up All right, there's my 4 mortises. And I have already transferred these lines to the side. Transfer these lines to the side. Okay? but I'm going to go ahead and put 4 dominoes in there. And for this, we are using number 6 40 millimeters. So these are all in there very, very snug. I mean, you can see what a tight fit it is. And by the time I get them all pounded in, they're sticking out about a little bit more than 1/2 of an inch. So with my side popped in here, I'm going to take a support piece and clamp it in the back. It's very important to use this support piece. Another thing to be sure of as well is that you have the rabbet coming forward. If you don't have the rabbet coming forward, you don't want to do this. All right, so this is flush, and I'm just clamping it down. There's my 4 spots. Now, a few things are going to change. First off, and most important, we are going to flip this back to 12. That is now the shortest that it will go. Okay? And only for the front mortise will I keep this at the narrowest setting. After that, I'll go to a little bit wider. All right, so I'm going to start out cutting my first one. And I want to reiterate, we have this board clamped here. It serves 2 purposes. One, it gives you more stability. And 2, if, Lord forbid, you forget to reset this and you have your hand back here, you won't blow the cutter into your finger. Now after the first one, I'm changing it to the metal. Remove my block. Get my dust out of the way. And now I can plug my side in. This one is tight for orientation, so this will be flush. But the odds of getting them all perfectly lined up is really kind of difficult. So having the extra movement in the back 3 makes it work really well. So then, just tap it down. And there's our joint.